This is my position on the Kalam cosmological argument. The argument is formulated very clearly. First, everything that begins to exist has a cause for its beginning. Second, the universe began to exist. The conclusion is that there is a cause for the universe. Now, about that cause. It would have to be outside of spacetime, and it has to be powerful enough such that it could create the universe. Sometimes it's argued that only minds have causative power outside of time. Like that, the argument establishes the existence of an entity that is similar to traditional gods in many important ways. I have four major objections, one for each premise, one for the framing of the argument, and one for the conclusion. I'll start from the second premise. I entirely reject a metaphysical or even physical impossibility of a past infinite universe. I can imagine a world in which a particle, like an electron, simply moves in a straight line forever in the future and forever in the past. That universe is trivially describable, and I can't imagine any problems with it. I understand some people have intuitive problems with it, and I usually grant intuitive arguments if I agree with them, but here I don't agree. So, until those arguments are formulated, I can't say I grant this premise. In addition, it's defensible to say that cosmology simply supports the past finitude of the universe. But that's not definitely true. Even with the Big Bang and the BGV theorem, cosmologists still make past infinite models that are entirely possible. I personally believe the universe is past finite, so this objection doesn't really matter to me, but it should be included in my position on the argument. As it relates to the first premise, I believe there is a small mistake in the wording that leads to a massive problem for the argument. Everything that begins to exist has a cause. Here's what I think the premise should actually look like. Everything that exists and once didn't exist has a cause for its existence. That premise is undeniably true within time. With physics, we can track the cause between the moment when the thing didn't exist and the moment in which it did. But here's an important fact. The universe has always existed. Even if time is finite, and even if it's infinite, the universe has always existed because for every point in time, the universe existed. There was never a time when the universe didn't exist for a cause to cause it. At best, you would need a reason for the universe to be made the way that it is. But that's not a Kalam anymore. That would put the argument in the contingency family. So, I don't think the universe needs a cause just because it is past finite. Finally, I have a glaring issue with the way the argument is framed. The argument tries to argue that if the dimension of time had a beginning, then it has a cause. But why? Why does it matter what the time inside the universe is for the question of whether it has an atemporal cause? I just don't see the relationship at all. So perhaps the first premise should be changed to within time, everything that begins to exist has a cause, which then doesn't entail a cause for the existence of time. Now, so far, I've just explained why I don't think the Kalam is a correct inference that the universe has a cause, but I also want to take a second to explain what I think about a cause for the universe in general. I personally don't believe in atemporal causality. I think that causality only makes sense with time, and I'm incredulous of a metaphysical cause for the existence of time. I think the simplest conclusion is that time is just a necessary pattern in reality. Perhaps a theory of everything would help us understand what time actually is, and might give us more perspective on its nature and origin. Now, I have a final and probably most intuitively powerful objection. A theist might skim through my objections and still not be intuitively convinced. He might still hold the belief that the universe couldn't just prop from nothing, so something must have created it. But there's an objection that intuitively hits everyone, and it's the glaringly messy way the argument tries to convince the reader that the cause is God. I simply don't think it's very convincing. A thing can be timeless, spaceless, and powerful enough to create the universe without being God. First off, the word powerful is begging the question. If something created the universe, the only thing we know for certain about it is that it creates universes. Words like able or can or powerful already sneak an anthropomorphic vibe. An atom bomb is powerful enough to make a big explosion, but that's pretty much the only thing it's able to do. An atomic bomb can't even make a small explosion, only a big one. So whatever caused the universe to exist doesn't have to be powerful at all, let alone all-powerful. And the way in which proponents argue the cause is the mind is noticeably not satisfying. Like I said, I don't believe in timeless causality. And even if I did, I wouldn't believe in timeless minds. And even if I did, I wouldn't believe a mind is the only form of timeless causality, and definitely not the most simple form. I think this is very telling. I suspect we simply can't comprehend atemporal causality, but proponents of the argument have to believe God can cause things without time, so they end up arguing that the only possible cause is God. But I don't think there's anything about a mind that makes timeless causality more comprehensible, so this inference is just invalid. In summary, I think both premises can be faulty. I don't think it's possible for there to be a cause for the universe. And even if it was possible, I don't think a cause would be the best explanation. And even if it was, I don't think a cause would be a deity.